welcome to our Tea Time. Today's Tea Time topic is American Karma Report. Now, I've been so self-centered on building my own self-love, really over the summer and since the beginning of the year, that I really haven't paid too much attention to the politics and things going on for a deliberate reason, because I know that the peace begins with me. It begins with my relationship to me, and if I want to change anything in the outer world, I'm going to have to engineer a happier inner world. But I have to say, as a sensei to Serious Joy, a lot of my subscribers, my customers who purchase readings, and my viewers and listeners who post comments have asked me about what I felt as far as what I see going on with President Trump in Congress and America, and what appears to be us turning back the clock of our American values. Well, I'll say this, and I find it very interesting. First of all, whenever I go into meditation and get connected to my guides, and I ask about President Trump, and I ask, is our country in danger, I do get a solid no. I get a solid no. I have to keep saying that. Someone, something, somewhere is protecting this nation right now. I don't feel that we are in danger. I did feel us in danger at the end of the Obama presidency. I felt a lot of darkness and potential danger and threats, and it kept exploding in different events, as you well know, from shopping malls to discos. It was pretty dark. I'm not feeling that darkness right now, so I just want to say I'm not having any reason to be super concerned, despite how crazy everything appears. Now, I also know the astrology of our time, and if you've been listening to me for a while, you've heard me bring this up. Pluto is in Capricorn, and the last time Pluto was in Capricorn was 1776, when the United States was born, when democracy was born. When some would say anarchy was born, and at the time, if you know your American history, at least the way that we've been spoon-fed it, human beings in America, particularly the rich ones, were very upset about the British taxes and King George over in England, which was imposing all these different taxes and whatnot, because frankly the colonies were becoming expensive to protect, and expensive to control, which is what Britain was doing at the time. The point is now that Pluto is coming to its one Pluto return, so our country is coming to its Pluto return, which I talk about happening between 2022 and 2024. Really, 2020 to 2024 will be the 4-year period where I think there's a lot of re-architecting of our country. I've wondered, as an astrologer now, practicing for over 20 years, I've thought to myself, okay, the astrology says we're going to go through a Pluto return, which means there will be a birth, there will be a death of the country and a rebirth of the country. The country will be reborn, the United States will be reborn. And I've always wondered, what is going to possibly lead up to this, right? Last time it was taxes, it was a foreign power, a foreign entity that made human beings unite in the country. But now that I've seen Trump take office, okay, this is where I'm leading with this, I'm actually seeing that President Trump is serving as a King George. And what's actually happening, if we look at the net effect, of course there's been all these reduction of government restrictions and government oversight, so we've seen a lot of changing of government policy. But we actually haven't seen much change. The health bill hasn't gone through. The tax bill hasn't gone through. We haven't really seen anything actually change except the levers that President Trump can pull directly. What we have seen, however, is this huge discussion in media, on the internet, with people about the way the country should be running. So in the last 1700s, we were discussing how we should be a democracy. We should have freedom of speech. We should have freedom of religion. We were discussing, because of this King George, for a long time before we put pen and paper and said we were willing to go to war for that. I see this moment with President Trump right now. I see whatever his role is bringing this discussion up. Americans are now getting very serious and focused by having this posed threat, whatever side of the coin you're on. And I think really Trump is exposing all sides. That's one of the things that's happening. We are seeing from this presidency how our media has been corrupted by one message or the other. We've seen how foreign governments like Russia can get involved. We've seen how our own voice and our own abilities with social media can make a change. We've seen how big money and big corporations have been buying out our politics. Like what's actually happening so far, whether you love it or hate it, is we are seeing how diseased and sick our country is, Trump or not Trump. And we won't go backwards in this perception that we have come to. Once you have seen, there's no turning back, right? And we will see how it all unfolds. A lot of people say, oh, Trump won't make it to the full end of his term. I don't think we can make any prediction with this one. I think very much like who in the last time Pluto's in Capricorn, who could have predicted a Tea Party? Who could have predicted, these things that led up to us saying we want change? All unpredictable, really, and very much a lot of public display and things like that as well. So I think that, what I want to say here in our America Karma Report is right now we are in a mode where we are reflecting and we are learning. That's what Saturn and Sagittarius is. There's nothing to fear right now. My guides say there's nothing to fear at this time. It is far more about the philosophical discussion, the ideas, the solutions that are coming forward. The other thing that I think is fascinating with Trump, too, is that, like I said, when we were under Clinton and even George Bush, who was a proposed, enemy at the time, a lot of people didn't like him. Nobody organized. Nobody did anything about it. The ACLU wasn't super strong at that. I mean, it was, but it wasn't like taking on the president. This is the first time where I see actual light workers getting together, forming unions, going on marches. I feel like people will participate at the levels they feel like they must participate. It's a shared responsibility for everyone to decide that they want change and how we go about making that change. So I'll say that so far, it looks like America is getting a real good look at its karma, which is the things that we have gone through, the attitudes that we have had. That's for the Confederacy and the white supremacy and all. These are all things that we have gone through in our country's history that up until now has defined us and been part of our flaws. And I think it's all on our face now because it's now time to have a new conversation about the way it ought to be. And I predict that you will start to see changes as far as the actual political landscape. I know we've had Steve Bannon get left, where there's changes. But again, this is all just still, I think, chess pieces moving around on the board. I haven't really seen anything move forward since the election. But I believe once Jupiter moves into Scorpio, which is October, that's when you're going to see lines being drawn. That's where you're going to start to seeing things truly escalate or de-escalate, not just in conversation, but in reality. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. My real concern as far as, what we should be cautious to, really not until May 2018 when Uranus goes into Taurus. That's the point where I would think that we're going to see real movement of some sort and us moving forward. So try not to get too hurt, my friend. Your job right now is really to know thyself, to evolve thyself, to get strong with thyself, because there will be change in the world in our lifetime. We've come here for that. But I believe at the moment, the change begins with you. All right, friend. Well, that wraps up our Tea Times for the week, but I'll be back in Friday Live tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Come on down and join the conversation if you'd like. Would love to see you. Until then, remember I love you, and to live, love, be. Live, love, be.